Okay, it's 1800, correction, it's 6 p.m. And tonight we will start the board meeting with the presentation of the color by the NJROTC. And the Pledge of Allegiance will be led this evening by Lieutenant Colonel Harwell.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. At this time, please remove your hats for the entrance of our national colors and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. The colors tonight are being presented by Cadet Lieutenant Commander Logan McCaslin, Cadet Ensign Sierra Quidiche, Cadet Petty Officer 2nd Class Josiah Alejo, and Cadet Petty Officer 3rd Class Raul Morales Camacho from the Shelton High School Navy JROTC. Navy JROTC is a full credit career and technical education elective course that places heavy emphasis on the development of leadership, self-discipline, honor, and integrity. Please continue to stand and remain silent until the colors are retired. Ladies and gentlemen, our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
Okay, has everybody had a chance to look at the agenda?
Yes, I move that we approve tonight's agenda.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have an agenda. With that, I'll turn it back over to Lieutenant Colonel Harwell and the Shelton High School NJROTC.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Is my mic working? I've got a red dot on here. As you've just seen, some of the finest that our community has to offer are JROTC cadets at Shelton High School. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking to you. They are quickly changing over at this moment so they can come back in, do another small routine for you, and talk a little bit about the JROTC program pretty much from their heart, their perspective. So I'm going to grab them. You've already heard that JROTC is a full credit elective course, part of the CTE program. But in addition, we do have extracurricular activities. One of those, the biggest of which, is our competition drill team. We participate, the cadets participate in 4 regulation drill meets per year with an additional regionals, which is basically all of Western Washington, 26 schools they go up against. And just for a plug for one that we are going to host here at the high school on the 7th of February, doors open at 08, and our award ceremony should be running around 1600 or 4 p.m. for civilians. With that, I am going to, or the cadets, as you were, the cadets are going to provide you a taste of part of our drill competition. Great job, cadets. Go ahead and stay here. You don't have to put on your Sunday best again. Again, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Brian Harwell. For those I haven't met, I'm the Senior Naval Science Instructor at Shelton High School. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking. I have brought our Cadet Command Triad here to the school to talk to you a little bit about the JRTC program, kind of what we are, why they joined, and more importantly, why they stayed, what they like about the program, what it does for them. I'm going to turn it over to Cadet Lieutenant Commander Logan McCaslin here, our company CEO.
Good evening, guys. Once again, my name is Lieutenant Commander Logan McCaslin. I've been in the unit for 4 years now. I'm a senior at the high school. Why I joined is honestly just because I thought it was cool. The uniforms looked good, and my brother was previously in it, and I went to drill meets before. Why I stayed is honestly just the family I've gathered in it, just the friends that I've made, the people I've made just at different schools going to competitions. Just being able to go out there and compete against other schools is just cool to us. So I want to pass it on to Cadet Senior Chief, or Cadet Ensign Bailey Millman. But I want to say before, the original point of this unit is mostly just to have fun and like gather friends, go to meets, just honestly just to instill discipline. One of the things I've gotten from it is mostly just the attention to detail, like you saw on all of our uniforms, just the precision and just the measurements of the ribbons, the different measurements of all the medals, just overall, just all the leadership you learned. I used to be one of the trouble kids, I guess you could say, my freshman year. And honestly, I wouldn't change a thing by joining. It helped me just honestly build my resume and honestly everything. So I'm going to pass it on to Cadet Millman now.
Hi everybody, I'm Cadet Lieutenant Junior Grade Bailey Millman. I am our executive officer of our climber company. I joined mainly because I had a friend when I was younger who talked about ROTC and her brother being in it and talked about how you could earn medals and drill meets, and I thought it was pretty cool, so I joined. Why I stayed was I ended up finding really good friends in our unit, and it felt like a family, and I learned a lot of good skills, like being a leader, being more outspoken, talking to you guys. A few years ago, I wouldn't have done this, so it's major progress for me. I've also learned how to build better time management skills, like waking up super early in the morning and putting my uniform together. That is not an easy thing. Sorry. I also really loved how in our unit we could be able to communicate with each other on a day-to-day basis and make new friends and have people come in and hang out with us without feeling like they couldn't hang out with us at all. And we have a safe space to talk to people. That's all. I'm going to hand it off to our senior chief.
Hello, everybody. I am Senior Chief Petty Officer Alex Sherman. I've been in this unit for a really long time. Everybody in this unit has been very amazing, and this has been my second family for 5 years, ever since my 8th grade. They've been my brothers and sisters ever since. They've helped me get discipline, treat everybody right, and just like have fun. We always have fun every day, all day. Waking up really early in the morning, putting everything together, making it right and perfect to show everybody else that putting a uniform together is important, especially for like a job, for an interview. It's important to get all of that right. That helps you get all of it together and perfect.
Okay, so I want to touch up on a couple more things. One thing that really just like instilled discipline and leadership in me is the drill team. So the drill team consists of, there's an unarmed drill team, an armed drill team which has rifles, and then there's all sorts of duels. There's color guard duels like us that we just did, and then there's another unarmed duels. So that's just basically clapping your hands together, doing some cool stuff, I guess, spins and all that. It's just, overall, it just instills discipline. It teaches you that no matter what, that there's always going to be people behind you waiting for you, congratulating you, supporting you. And most importantly, it's just another family away from home, like he said. It's truly one of the best things that I could have joined is drill. Just instilling the discipline, teaching me leadership, and just all the different things that, honestly, it just does.
Thank you, cadets. Superintendent Jesse, members of the board, I want to thank you very much for having us out tonight and being able to share a little bit of our stories. Cadets, families, members of the community, we do really appreciate from the bottom of our hearts all of your attention and your support because without you, well, we're just a bunch of kids running around in uniforms that don't know what they're doing. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, that was great. Moving on now to the superintendent's report with Mr. Jesse.
Thank you, Board President Wiehlander, other board directors, student representatives, students, family members, community members, and staff. First, I think NJROTC already left, but they did a great performance. You know, for our district, we have three things we're always trying to do: inspire, empower, and challenge. And today, just the words that come from our cadets and just their performance, you can really hear how that's just one. If you're not inspired, let's have another conversation. That's great. But you can also tell by the many programs that we offer, including NJROTC, which has about 100 of our students in it. That's also empowering a lot of youth to provide discipline, understand teamwork, what it's like to be family. And then I love the notion of attention to detail. You know, you don't hear too many teenagers say these days, like, I look forward to getting up early and putting together my outfit. So that was pretty cool for sure. Another activity that we have at SHS is the Thespians Troop 831. It is the first year, to my understanding, of having this thespian troupe. They have just performed in a regional competition with 600 other students, and 5 Shelton High School students not only piloted this first International Thespian Society competition, but they have many winners. So we have national qualifiers underneath acting monologue for Elliot Mobley, music theater performance duet, which was within fine. I don't know exactly what that is. Trinity Schutt and Elliot Mobley. And then state honorees for excellent scores include Marion Gardner, Emma Ray Simpson, and Marion Gardner and Juniper Summers. So congratulations so much to them. Not easy, 600 students, and you're already placing. Some going to nationals and also state honorees. So just really cool things. That definitely goes on the heels. Last week we had a roundtable presentation at Shelton High School. This year we decided to have these roundtable events where usually a board director, the principal, a certificated educator, and myself get interviewed by Jeff Slakey for
from KMAS for about an hour. These events are really to start to pull back the curtain, is what I like to say, about what we're doing here in public education. I think so much is relied upon around either someone else's experience in public education or what's posted on social media or just put out there in the media in general. There's a lot of really great things going on that we do now that is so different than what it is that many of us went when we went to high school, and SHS has a lot going on. It has transformed over my 5 years here. Really is amazing. I cannot accentuate all the things, so many different clubs and activities. And what I think the major shift that I would want anybody to really understand is there's a difference between having a club and an activity where kids just show up to ones where they are student-led. And that is what exactly has happened over the last 5 years, whether that is the football team, the girls' basketball team, wrestling, the Thespian Society, CT programs, NJROTC. It goes on, skills competition US. So that is exactly what has happened. I'm very proud of the staff at SHS. I'm very proud, obviously, of the students, and I really want to thank the families so much. More of these kind of roundtable events will continue. It is a way that we can engage back and forth. There's questions. Hey, I wonder about this topic. Like, what do you do in these situations? I love those. And then that way you have staff right there to answer them for you, specific to each of our schools. This month is National School Board Appreciation Month. So I would first start off, we have some gifts here with a Shelton Success sticker on it and some chocolates for each of the board directors. So thank you, Director Wheelander, for helping pass them down. Folks, these are volunteers. These are people who choose to serve their community in a way that is very unique. It's an elected position that you work for free and that you come, and sometimes it can be heated, and sometimes you also have to make tough decisions. And I think that today, for me, that's the highlight of what this school board has chosen to do. It is 8 years running. This is a board of distinction. They are recognized by the state as performing outstanding service for the Shelton community. And what that really means is that they are very disciplined by putting students first, following a strategic plan, and ensuring our resources align to getting outcomes for our students. That's why we are #1 in the state for early literacy growth. We've had a 77% decrease in suspensions. 9th grade on track is up. Our graduation is up. And so those are things I think we're proud. We have plenty of work to do. This is public education. There are always going to be issues that go on. But to get up here and say, I'm going to spend every other Tuesday, get emails multiple times all the way through each week, to continue to educate yourself about how school districts run and all the laws that we are required to follow. I just want to say thank you so much. I appreciate it. I know many other people do appreciate it. Sometimes it's underappreciated, but today I hope you feel that you are providing a special service here for the Shelton community. So thank you. And enjoy your chocolates. Next week is National School Counselor Week. So since we do not have a school board meeting next week, I thought I would take this opportunity to recognize our school counselors. What a vital part of the district. We are very fortunate, this particular district, to have counselors at each of our school sites. That is not always true in this day and age. There is not always the funding that is provided for a full-time school counselor. We have an amazing group of professionals ready to address the whole child, as I like to say, at each of the schools. Countless meetings that they attend. They provide a lot of behavioral health to our students, and they also do a tremendous amount connecting with our families. So if anybody's listening and you're like, whoa, I have this issue, I would like to try to make a different kind of connection with the school, or I have some some concerns about your student, a counselor is a great place to start. That person, I guarantee you, cares very much for your student. I'm sure our student representatives have their own stories for when a school counselor reached in and supported them. And so I just wanted to make a special recognition also for our school counselors and celebrate them next week. Moving on to our student reps, I would like to first say thank you to Nevaeh. She was the representative for Shelton High School, and she has moved on this school year, but to be replaced by Sophia Todd. Thank you so much, Sophia. Welcome. I know there's a lot of SHS people out there in the crowd. I've heard a lot of really great things. You are definitely a leader. You participate in a number of activities as well. And so thank you for being here and looking forward to having you. My last comment is, if you didn't know, there's an educational programs and operations levy on the ballot. That ballot is going to be ultimately tabulated on February 10th, but if you have a ballot in your hand, please try to get that in by February 3rd. They do need to be postmarked. So if you are interested in submitting a ballot, just make sure, again, that you put it in the mail by February 3rd to guarantee it with the postmark by February 10th. So with that, thank you so much.
Thank you. Moving on to community comments. We do not have anybody on the list. Is there anybody online? Okay. We're going to go ahead and move right on to item number 6, reports and recognition. 6.01, the student athlete speeches. And we've got, don't hit me if I get your name wrong, Alberto Manza, JJ Rhodes, Abby Faula, Madison Lohmeyer, Trayson Bartholomew. You can pick your own order.
Hello everyone, my name is Madison Lohmeyer. I am a senior at Shelton High School. I have been a varsity member of cross country and track and field all 4 years of high school. I was the captain of cross country my junior and senior year. Throughout my experience in these programs, I have given many opportunities to learn and grow as a person. I can easily say I would not be who I am today without participating in these programs. As someone who has always naturally filled the role of a leader, participating in sports at Shelton High School allowed me lots of opportunities to be a leader. Being a teammate allowed me to celebrate success, encourage others, and create a positive environment where everyone on our team felt they belonged. By working hard myself, I led by example, showing others that if they too work hard, their goals and success will come, inspiring others to find a love for sports and the things they can achieve. Throughout participating in sports, I have learned you will always experience bumps in the road. While falling short of goals or getting injured is never fun, sometimes it's just a part of life. Through participating in these programs at Shelton High School, I was given a supportive environment where I was able to hit a bump in the road, but I was always able to learn from them. Through the support of my teammates and coaches, I would always come back even stronger. I have been able to prove to myself that I can do hard things, developing a mindset that allows me to believe in myself and know I can achieve big goals. My entire life, I have always been a hard worker. Participating in sports at Shelton High School only grew my work ethic. I always work hard and show up on the days that I'm not feeling it, because success does come from hard work. And as I mentioned earlier, by showing up, I encourage others to do the same. When everyone shows up, we can lift and encourage each other on good and bad days. I could continue to go on about the great things that sports have done for me, but you may be here a very long time. Participating in sports has truly helped me build skills, not only essential for being an athlete, but required for life. I have met some of my best friends and people who make my life better and inspire me every day. I am proud to say that by participating in sports at Shelton High School, it has encouraged and gave me the confidence to compete on the next level. I thank Shelton High School sports and the opportunities and people presented by them for helping me be who I am today. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. First and foremost, I wanted to thank you guys for being here and dedicating your time. And just want to start off by saying that Shelton High School sports have given me a lot, not only allowing me to go further and push myself every single day, but just allowing myself to be around a lot of people that I wouldn't find myself with in normal situations. Like a lot of my teammates, I would have never known, like they're my best friends. if I didn't do sports. And especially on the bad days of sports, I find myself going forward and not giving up, especially when it's hard, even when you're sick, even when you don't want to go. You know, my supporting coaches have always told me to put my work boots on and put my hard hat on, so I always appreciate my coaches for pushing me, giving me the extra mile, and I really appreciate all the support that I've gotten at Shelton High School Athletics because they've taught me so much discipline and instilled so many core values that have made me to the person I am today. And once again, I just wanted to thank you guys so much for allowing me to be up here today, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your night.
I'm JJ Rhodes. I'm a multi-sport varsity athlete. I was a captain of a football team, and one thing I learned from sports is it pushes me past my limits. It's not just physically, but mentally too. In the classroom, it really makes me work harder. It makes me a competitive student, and it just pushes me in the classroom a lot. I don't like settling with B's and C's. I want to push for a 4.0 GPA. It makes my goals higher, and it really just makes me want to be a better person. And I like the people I'm surrounded by. I can call them my brothers confidently. I think whatever I would do, they would do for me too. So they would go through any amount of pain for me, and I would go through the same for them. And in the classroom, it really just pushes me because the discipline I worked also just helps with schoolwork in a way. It's like I have to get it done if I want to be a great person. If I want to succeed, I have to do the work. There's no easy way around it. It's to embrace the suck, and you really have to just push through it. I want to thank the school board for letting me talk. Thank you, guys.
Hello, everyone. Oh, I didn't realize I was that short, sorry. My name is Abby Faula, and I'm one of many student multi-athletes at Shelton High School, and I can confidently say that the sports I've played have given me a strong sense of family and community that I wouldn't have without the levy. Volleyball has not only given me a family, but it has also taught me dedication, discipline, and strong work ethic that I carry with me throughout my whole entire life. I can speak on behalf of all athletes when I say that through sports and activities, we learn accountability and constantly push ourselves to achieve better outcomes. We experience both the highs and the lows, and through it all, our community becomes more united. These lessons and connections stay with us for a lifetime. The levy doesn't just support athletics, it also contributes to special education, and every student deserves the right to learn in a way that works best for them. No one should have that opportunity taken away from them. The truth is that the levy gives students incredible opportunities to build character and grow. Every student should have the chance to participate in any sport that they want, just like we have access to our education. Seeing students advocate for free activities and throughout on the sidewalks, throughout the town, shows us how important it is to us. No student should have to go home stressed about how they will afford to be included, and no parent should have to go home stressed over money in order to have their child included. I've seen many communities where levy failures hurt students, families, and special education programs. Don't let political indifferences stand in the way of the futures of thousands of students, teachers, and athletes. Thank you so much for taking your time to listen to me.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, good. I'm Lillian Lake, and I was asked to speak for the swim team. What is a community? The Merriam-Webster dictionary will tell you that it is at its most basic terminology, a unified body of individuals. They can be unified by common interests, history, or even just the area they live in. In the more abstract sense, community represents a feeling of connection, belonging, and fellowship. In our school district, there is a very special community that I and many others are a part of. It is a community that encourages its members to lift one another up and work hard even when surrender is most tempting. It's a community that has for a long time been known to be home to students who are dedicated in their academics, producing several valedictorians over the years. The community I speak of is the swim community. And when I first came to Shelton High School my freshman year, I came from a very small Christian school. So it was a very big culture shock. And I didn't really have any friends or anywhere to eat. I didn't know anybody. And, well, 2 weeks earlier, I had started swimming. And that's where I made most of my friends and where I developed that sense of community. And the interesting thing about swimming, the swim program, is that it's not just about community and friends and working hard. It represents swimming. And in our community, Shelton, there's a lot of generational poverty. And from that comes a lot of people who don't know how to swim. And living in a bubble my whole life, because before I came here, I had been doing competitive swimming. So I had never known a world where people don't know how to swim. So when I came here and I joined other activities and other sports and other clubs, I met people who didn't know how to swim at all and were terrified of the water, like seniors in high school and adults. And that was weird to me because swimming isn't just something you do for fun, it's a life skill that could determine whether you live or die. And so when you have the swim team, you have people going into these high school PE classes, right? And we learn better from our peers. So when we're there in the classes with our peers, and you see these high school swimmers who are on the swim team swimming really well, you learn from their examples. You work hard with them, you learn, and maybe even join the swim team yourself. And from these swimmers comes people like lifeguards and swimming instructors who teach the younger generations, who teach the little kids. Those are the ones you got really worried about around the water. And so this is a community that is really important in more than just the high school, but in the area we live in. So thank you guys so much for your time.
My name is Logan Jacob, and I'm a part of the boys' swim team for Shelton High. And I'd also like to first and foremost thank you all for listening to us and taking the time to let us hear our voices and our opinions. I've been on the Shelton swim team for 3 years now. I'm a senior and team captain alongside my buddy Tawan, who's been on it for the longest out of all of us. And there's something I've realized upon being on the team. It's not just a bunch of people, and it's not just a simple community all striving to be the same thing or having a simple same goal. We all learn from each other's experiences and the same experiences as well, and it's what has made us not only just a team, but more than just a community and a bunch of friends, almost a second family to each other. I love the guys, and I know the guys love the sport, even with our hardships and complications. It not only allows us to be able to develop a new relationship and learn new people, but it also allowed us to find fellowship among one another, and I believe it allowed us to find our community, our clique, if you will. When I first came to Shelton High, I was surrounded by the same people I'd known for a couple of years, and they weren't exactly good people, per se. And I didn't want that, so my sophomore year, when I joined swim, I'd realized I'd found the people that I wanted to be surrounded by, and even as I've grown older and seen people join, I now even see myself in some of the first years ambitious and maybe nervous, excited to be able to see where they can expand themselves and find their own person, like I had found myself. That's what I think of swim, and I do believe it not only just shapes community, but it also shapes new family and a new culture for the school. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys. That was great. Okay, 6.02, report on self and welcoming schools, Dusty Trickle and Chelsea Brady.
All right, that is hard to follow. That was amazing. That was really cool. Good evening, Board President, members of the board, Superintendent Jesse. As you mentioned, Dusty Trickle and I are here to present an update on safe and welcoming schools, which is one of our priority areas in our strategic plan. We know that safe and welcoming schools are the foundation for learning. We also know that this was a key part of our strategic plan, and I'm sure during our focus groups and as Wyeth and others gathered feedback from our community and from our staff, hearing about behavior in our schools, it was clear that we had a lot of work to do. Coming from someone who has been in our district for a very long time, I know that I was one of those people, and we were overly reliant on punishment and suspensions. You can see that in our data, and we know that while in the moment, sending a problem away can feel like a solution, long-term, it negatively impacts not only the students, but our community. Students that have been suspended are more likely to drop out, to be involved in the court system, and frankly become your neighbor in the community, still engaging in the same behaviors that created the issue in the first place in schools. So as a community member and a longtime staff member, I was really excited about this work. It is also not easy work. This is complex. And this is ongoing work, but we are excited to share some celebrations because, again, students learn best when they feel safe, connected, and supported. So as we entered into this work and put together the strategic plan, we really started at that district level to vision out what actions we needed to have. And some of that work is around creating systems in our schools. It was actually really neat to listen to all of our schools present their school improvement plan, and you heard many of them, in fact, I think all of them talk about MTSS, multi-tiered system of support, and that's getting the right interventions and supports in place for students when they need it. Also around PBIS, all the acronyms, but positive behavior interventions and support. So how do we set up our schools in a way that creates positive behavior, supports students when they need it? We also have done a lot of work around alignment, and so all of our schools were doing different things. And so one behavior in one space had one outcome, and in another space something different. That's really hard on our families, also hard on students and staff. So we've done a lot of work over the last couple of years on aligning our discipline procedures and practices. And then we've done a lot of training for different groups of staff. Board President Wiehlander actually today got to drop into training that Dusty and I were doing for our assistant principals. The topic, of course, was behavior and how do we respond to students in different situations and how do we work with staff members when a student has had a challenging behavior. So it is ongoing work. We've worked with teachers, classified staff members, principals, and provided a lot of training. Some of those things you now hear different folks talk about, structures and routines, how do we really use student story, strength, and need, and so that has become common language now across our schools, which is really great. We have also worked to expand our student supports, and so really training up our counselors on how they provide services to students. We've been very lucky to partner with True North and have expanded mental health supports and other supports in our schools. So what does this really look like in a building? So that tiered approach to behavior management looks like this. When you have strong tier 1 structures in place, and this lists some of them out, but Your classrooms have strong structures and routines. You have common behavior expectations, which when you walk through our buildings, you can see those now posted on the walls. Those are being actively taught to students, retaught to them throughout the year, celebrating students when they're meeting those expectations. When you have really strong Tier 1 in place, 80% of your students can meet expectation. We will always have about 20% of students that need more support. So that is true across schools. When I was first looking at this, I was going to say that's true in any public school, private school. This is true in any school space, right? As students are learning and growing, there is always going to be some behavior that happens. And if we have strong systems in place, about 80% of our kids are going to get it. And then we have about 20% that are going to need a little bit more. And it requires really tight work to happen in buildings. This is not easy. So we wanted to give you an example. Wanted to highlight OBJ. We've talked a lot. We've had OBJ come and share some of their celebrations because they did have some real challenges in their building. We've heard about that. We know that. And it feels different now, and it's because of this work that they're doing. So they really focused on their Tier 1 in their building. So not only training students, they established their behavior expectations, they have taught students, they celebrate students, they are doing social emotional learning in their advisory classes. They've also, as you can see, in their Tier 2, so students that need a little bit more, they have small groups with the counselors. They also do one-on-ones. They have counseling services. So this is layered work that's taken a lot of time, but it's really taking hold. What's exciting is when we look at the data for this year, right now, 88% of students fall into that Tier 1. So that tells us that what they're doing is working, which is really exciting. 430 students, they don't have any referrals. That's a huge celebration. So you can see up there that they really fall into those numbers. This is evidence-based practices. We can see that it's working. Recently at a staff meeting, they were reviewing their data and just celebrating, wow, it feels so different here for staff and for students. Students tell us that when we walk through the building. And the principal, Marianne Marshall, said, what do you think? What really has made a difference? And one of the staff members said, we're all on the same page. We're all doing these things, and it's really making a difference for kids. So super exciting, and again, we're really seeing the outcomes.
One of the things that I'm sure you guys have heard a few times is this narrative that behavior is out of control in our schools, except the narrative is inaccurate. Our discipline is decreasing, not increasing. We do know that places like social media, messaging can become elevated unnecessarily, but our data tells a different story than some of that. So thinking of the evidence-based practices that Chelsea just told you about, we know that when we put those in place, we do see a decrease in behavior. When we used to be reliant on punishment, so you can see back in 2022 when our numbers were so high, sending kids home because it is easier instead of trying to help students fix the problem, the punishment doesn't change behavior. So now we're putting structures in place so we can change behavior. Now we're responding earlier, we're responding more effectively, and you can see through our data, we've had a 77% decrease over the past 3 years, which is huge for exclusions. So that's the amount of kids that are missing out on school. It means our serious incidents are declining across the board. And if you look over to the right, the amount of time kids are out when they are excluded has also decreased quite a bit. So that means that there's less instruction missed for students and better outcomes for students. We're always going to have behaviors that require an exclusion. Every school does. What we're leaning towards, though, is when those behaviors happen, we are bringing kids back into the learning environment as soon as possible. So on the right, that's what that shows, is that 76% of our kids that do present behaviors that they might need to be out for a day are missing less than 2 days of school, which is huge. So as soon as we can get them back in with a reentry meeting, they're there. We also see the same in our referral data. So our data shows a 66% decrease in referrals. So these are lower level behaviors that students are demonstrating. It does not mean that we're ignoring the behavior. It means that the systems that we've put in place are working and the data is showing that. Serious incidents still receive appropriate consequences. Safety is always our goal. Discipline decisions now are thoughtful instead of automatic. So there's not a blanket, right? Every kid has a story, strength, and need. We need to know that before we make decisions. We have teams, the MTSS teams across the board, where we're looking at data regularly to determine what interventions we might need to put in place. The other really exciting piece about this data is that there's a 10% decrease in the amount of students, a 10% increase in students not receiving a referral. So that means 84% of our students district-wide have received 0 discipline referrals. So that goes above that 80% tier 1, so we know that the systems are working. We're teaching our kids social skills like problem solving, self-regulation, empathy, decision-making, and it's paying off. We can see it in the data that the systems are working. Another narrative that we hear is that bullying is prevalent in our schools. And once again, the data does not support that argument. We are teaching students to be tolerant of each other's differences. So if you look off to the left, and this is part of the teaching with families and students, is that if someone does something one time and it's unintentional, they're being rude. Right? If someone does something or says something once and it's intentional, that's mean, and we have consequences for when that happens, but it doesn't really rise to the level of bullying unless someone continues to do something intentionally. You've asked them to stop and they keep doing it. That's what kind of crosses over the level into bullying. And we know what it sounds like when students are mean, right? As students learn social skills, they have growing pains, and sometimes they can be mean. It sounds like kids telling each other they don't like the clothes that somebody's wearing, or who they spend time with, or the things that they believe in. And there are times when being mean can turn into bullying. We're working on educating our students and families about what qualifies as bullying versus a student being mean. So we're teaching skills, how to get along with others, how to navigate difficult situations, how to build relationships, how to build empathy and tolerance for each other. We also know that this is an issue in communities and society as a whole, how we treat other people. And it is part of our job in partnership with families to teach all of our students these skills. If you look at our numbers of reports of harassment, intimidation, and bullying across the whole district, last year there were 10 reports of harassment, intimidation, and bullying filed with the school district. 0 of those were substantiated. This year we've only had 5 filed. 2 of the 5 were substantiated. So what that tells us is that as we educate our students and families about what bullying is, we're seeing less reports of bullying as we have those conversations. This does not mean that we're ignoring those concerns when students and families bring them to us. It means that many of those incidents involve peer conflict or inappropriate behavior or students being mean to each other, and only those that meet the statutory definition of HIB are substantiated, and there's a whole list of what that looks like. Every HIB that is filed, every harassment, intimidation, and bullying report that's filed is investigated, student concerns are addressed, supports and interventions are put in place regardless of whether they're substantiated or not. So the data tells our story for us, and it really shows that the systems that we've put in place are working and that our student behavior is improving across the district in all of our settings.
Dusty mentioned the importance of that partnership with our families. We know that behavior development does start at home and it does continue at home. We only get to have our students for about 12% of the year, and we can only control what happens when they're at school, and we will take them regardless of what they're experiencing outside of school. So I will say that this is one of our challenges, is continuing to build these partnerships. There are times where people don't answer the phone, or they really don't want to come into the building or aren't able to come into the building to meet. And we know that that partnership really makes a difference for students. So this is a challenge, but it's an area that we're continuing to grow. I think a lot of the things we've been trying to do over the last couple of years, even as Superintendent Jesse mentioned about the roundtables and just different opportunities to bring our families in and build those relationships, will help us in this area. But that partnership is a key part of this work. You heard us talk earlier about student ownership. We're starting to see that in sports. This is where we can get in our schools, in our classrooms. We have gotten really strong foundations in place with our structures and routines, consistent practices across schools. Each of our schools is at a different area on this continuum, but we are all working toward student leadership and student ownership. When we get to a place where students really own that school community at a high school level, that could look like students running their own discipline panel, restorative conversations. It can really improve school culture. We are working toward those systems. So behavior work is always ongoing, but we are really excited about the progress that we've made. So we'd like to open it up to questions.
Any questions?
No questions, because I really appreciate how you answered many of the common concerns that we see in the community throughout the presentation with the examples. Thank you. Thank you for your hard work.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in with a comment too. When I read this before coming to the school board meeting, it reminded me of one of the student reps that we had a couple years ago. It might have been your sister that worked on, and I happened to be on the Board of Health at that same time, where they were doing a campaign that was kind of flipping the narrative on drug use. And it was highlighting how many kids were not vaping or doing drugs. And that's what I like about your data, because you're showing like how many kids did not get a referral at all. And that is because of the system that you've put into place that's now creating better behaviors and routines that everybody understands, so they're not even getting a referral. And I like seeing those positive numbers, because we are always going to have situations or students and behaviors that need work, and we're facing that and working on it. But that is a shrinking percentage. And don't forget about this whole other group of kids that are taking in, the instruction that they're getting, and families are learning to help support their students too. So yeah, I really appreciate the way the presentation was done and how it is highlighting those positive behaviors that are going on with our students, because there's so many kids, as we saw tonight, that are doing a wonderful job, and it shouldn't just be a spotlight of a one, situation that takes control of all of that. And I do appreciate the breakdown of bullying. I think the term bullying gets used quite a bit, and we forget, what that terminology actually means. Being rude, being mean also does not feel good and isn't nice, and those are being addressed too. But to take a look at what that actually means and have families understand that, I appreciate the work that you're doing with all of that and meeting those parents however they need to be met with, like you're saying, to get that done. So thank you for the presentation and for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
I guess I'll go back to what I was able to witness earlier today that it tags onto this. It's one thing to say that we're going to know the students' story, strengths, and needs. When I go out into the schools and I'm with Mr. Jesse, who will pick a kid out of a crowd and tell me all about that kid out of 4,200. You guys can do the same thing, the leadership and all that. And then to walk into a class today where you are teaching formal leadership training that is going to go down to the teachers, and then through that you're teaching leadership to teachers then that are going to lead students. You can't just instruct algebra. You have to inspire a kid to want to tag along and do these things and understand why it's important in life later on down the road. And that's what I'm seeing now. And so thank you, first of all. But I love that, again, with what Carrie said, I love that you're showing us the positives. It's easy to walk into any room and there's one kid acting out, and that's what your eye's going to be drawn to. That's what you're going to remember. That's what you're going to see. You know, it takes 5 positives for every negative that stuck out there. And so to show that the work that you are all doing, having this positive, that's good stuff. And I do truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, my favorite part of the day, the budget update with Mr. Sherman.
Riveting. Here's one of the images we tried to get up last week. And what this is really showing is I've reforecasted our revenue. The next slide has our enrollment, and our enrollment's a bit down from what we projected. And so what I had to do was go through and readjust what the revenue forecast looked like for the year, and all that got drawn down, which also then drew down that fund balance graph at the bottom in gray as well. We talked a little bit last time. Our current fund balance in December, January's almost done. We'll have those books here in a couple weeks. But at the end of January was 1.3 million. But remember, we took an apportionment advance earlier. So we're holding this money during this low. Does this work? Yeah, it does. During that low spell through January, February, and March until tax collection comes in the spring. And so that's why our fund balances looks like we're way outperforming. We're not. We're right where we're supposed to be based on the work we've done so far. And even with realigning our enrollment with our current, realigning our revenues with our current enrollment, we'll still forecast at a $1.5 million fund balance at the end of this year. Our enrollment kind of peaked in October is when it normally does when you count the running start students, and it's kind of plateaued around 4,200. That's where it's at right now. Well, probably, historically, most districts, their annual average ends up being January because it's the middle of the school year. And so we kind of expect to end around 4,200 for the annual average. Our annual average is a little bit higher than that, but that's where we should have ended up, around 4,200. What questions do you have for me?
I guess,
Andrew.
oh.
Go ahead.
No, I'm going to let you.
All right. I was just going to say, excellent job. You somehow have a way of always answering the questions that I have coming into our board meetings, so I don't even have to ask the question.
That's great.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, sure, of course. It's the whole goal.
I am curious.
Yes.
Do we know why we're losing enrollment? And is there been an increase in Running Start or other programs like
Running
that?
Start has picked up a bit than it had done in October. But actually, Chelsea and I worked together on this, and we pulled the reports for the withdrawals, and most of it is kids moving. We were worried about, like, where are these kids going, and what is the, one of my concerns was, were people being pulled out to homeschool, because districts our size normally have a program around that. We verified that there are some of those students, but most of it is just regular kids moving around. Yeah.
Okay.
And so we look at it every month. Her and we give this a report, and then we get together and look at that. Well, every other month, I guess.
Yeah, I know you guys are usually pretty dialed in on
Yeah.
on what's going on with some
Yeah,
of
it
that.
drives everything. So we're always trying to, like, well, hold on, let's double check this. And in the fall, we went around to all the buildings and double checked all the enrollment reporting processes, because I was new. I wasn't sure how they were doing it. I just wanted to double check, and everyone's doing a great job at the buildings.
I just got to jump in here. So we just have to scale this a little bit here.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking not like hundreds of kids here. So that's not the situation. Running Start, when we start bringing up Running Start,
Yeah.
this is like gets a little bit more complex, but it changes year to year. We've talked about that with the board, and so that continues to evolve. And so some kids may all of a sudden elect to take a couple more classes in the Running Start. And so those are kind of things that change in the AAFTE. They're not full wholesale gone from the district. They still is a clear through. But it is about movement is our number one issue. It has been in the past. But I will also just take this moment. The lower birth rate across the state has been, and so this is part of also over time. We're just going to lose enrollment over time. Districts are projected all across the state. I ultimately had my last piece. I had a number of housing developments coming in probably should equal out. We believe that it should kind of somewhere between the loss of the birth rate and enrollment, but also just the number of housing that we're adding here should try to keep us flat. So I don't think we're going to add here.
And like
I get that question a lot, though.
Yeah, we do. And like we talked about maybe 2 or 3 meetings ago, we did go and find 70 students out in our community who hadn't been in school since COVID closure had happened and brought them into our Open Doors program. And that Open Doors program is included in this number because we can claim them as part, because we're serving those students in that program. And so we are continually hunting for those students who need more help and services that we can provide here at Shelton.
So the last thing I had, and it's just kind of to confirm in my own head, right now, yes, it does appear that we're outperforming. Are we going to see that solid gray line kind of go through the dotted gray line there in
around
April,
April, there should be an intersection, and then it'll kind of fall in line.
Okay.
We made a couple of other cuts to make sure that June stays positive.
Yep.
But I wanted to lock in what we forecasted and then show what we're actually doing month to month. In the past, I was overriding the forecast with what's actually happening, and we weren't seeing that difference. So yes, you'll see an intersection of those lines, and then we'll end up with $1.5 million. Yeah, 'cause we made some additional tweaks to some of the department budgets this year and kind of moved some stuff into next year.
All right, super.
Great.
Any other questions? You may go.
Thank you.
All right, next up, the reports from the student school representatives. And first, we'll start with Cedar, Alan Ramirez.
Yeah, so I got a pretty, I think I'll get the biggest thing out of the way first, is that we're Friends of Cedar is going to be hosting a bingo night on the 7th of February. It's going to be over at the Tribal Center, see if I can remember which one it was, the Skokomish Tribal Center. Yeah, that one. We're going to be having a bingo night over there. We're also going to be we're going to have it sort of bilingual. We're going to have bingo, and we're going to have loteria. So everybody's welcome to be there. We're going to have some baked goods we're going to be selling to help out our Cedar seniors because we're getting pretty close to graduation dates. We got a lot of big plans for the senior class. Speaking of which, we've continued to receive help from licensed professionals in order to develop our wellness plans for the high school and beyond presentation, really just trying to make sure that each and every part of that presentation is as high quality as it can be and that they are utilized to their fullest by all of our seniors. And those presentations, I'd like to say a lot of them that I've seen are going to be very creative. It's really interesting just how much freedom you really have when it comes to how you present your post-high school plans. It's going to be great. We also had a mini ECP where we were able to show off a bunch of projects, just sort of like having people from the school look at each other's projects so that we can teach the younger grades how ECPs usually run. And yeah, it was pretty fun. We got to see a lot of cool projects. I was able to see a lot of the projects made by our freshmen, and I have to say, those are some smart kids. They really have a bright future ahead of them. And as Wyeth pointed out, next week is going to be a counselor week. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Susie, if I can pronounce her last name, Susie Warshbicki. Yeah, shout out to Susie. She's been the teacher for our what's it called? The senior class, the high school and beyond class. Yeah. So yeah, we've been doing a lot of that, and Susie's also been helping ambassadors get ready for all of the presentations that we're going to be giving out at all the different schools, talking to all the 8th graders about why they should join Cedar, because we're a pretty cool school, if I do say so myself. And if you want to play bingo, be there.
Thank you. Abigail.
Hello, I'm Abigail from Choice. The Pathway Program students are working on with community members to get work ethics. There are many former and current students that are in the Special Olympics basketball program. Students are taking the ASVAB for their pathways, and many are taking and passing the GED subject test and pre-test. Open Doors is going to have people come and talk about jobs for 2 weeks, and students starting Adults 101 to help students with life skills. Middle school students have been working on health and wellness with art. Students are learning how famous people in government shape civil engagement. Students are writing about prehistoric lives. Choice students are working hard to get their credits in their classes. 11th and 12th grade are doing good in their classes. 9th and 10th are working on math and English in term to help and teach and learn skills for students. ASB is doing a food drive. And tomorrow at 3 to 4, we are going to be holding levy signs from Choice to the library. If anybody wants to come by and honk and support us, I'll be there.
And I will honk at you. Okay, and our new representative from Shelton High School, Sophia Todd.
Hi, I'm Sophia Todd. I'm a junior at Shelton High School. For sports, we have new rankings came out for the 3A wrestling for girls teams, and girls wrestling is now ranked 9 in the state. Boys and girls teams got invited to the first dual state championships, which will be this weekend. They're lucky they didn't have to qualify. They got invited. There'll be 16 teams, the top 16 teams in the state. For basketball, we have Janelle Christ is now ranked 10th in the state for 2028 girls basketball players, which is very impressive. And then I think it's this Friday. Yeah, this coming Friday, we have our Winter Sports Assembly, which is also student-led by me and my classmate Ellie Keeley. We're going to be having a staff versus students basketball games and then lots of winter sports recognitions. For our clubs, DECA has 5 state qualifiers, and they will be interviewed by the Mason County Journal. We also have our student-led talent show on February 27th if you'd like to attend. And then there's also now a set date for a multicultural night on April 23rd. I think this is kind of old news. I don't know if we had someone say it before, but we also have our Chuck a Duck fundraiser, which is during the boys and girls halftime. It's basically a fundraiser for the 2027 class and to raise money just for like their prom and just other stuff like that. So if you'd like to play, please attend. And then lastly, our leadership in ASB is planning a team bonding and strengthen the group with its new members, including myself and I believe one of the people that talked, Alberto Manzo. That's all I have.
Thank you. Good job for the first time out.
Thanks.
All right, on to item number 7, the consent agenda. Has everybody had a chance to check that out? I would take a motion.
I motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we have a consent agenda. Okay, on to item number 8, the 8.01, the proposed revised policy number 6800, operations and maintenance of school property. This will be the first reading. Mr. Robert.
Chairman, Vice Chairman, esteemed members of the board and student representatives, thank you. I am bringing forth to you policy 6800 for your consideration. This is the first reading. The policy is pretty dated, but fortunately, not much needs to be changed. The majority of the changes presented in red are those recommended from WASDA. The other recommendation or changes that are proposed are related to the OSPI Asset Prevention or Preservation Program, which I also bring to you every March. But our policy did not actually align with practice as prescribed by OSPI, and so that language has been clarified and brought into alignment. And otherwise, in the destruction of school property, section E, we are also aligning with the existing policies related to high school graduation requirements that already make clear these types of things related to damages and repayment, and we didn't want to accidentally have policies that would start to stray away from other policy, right? And so those are cited and brought to be consistent.
Did anybody have any questions? Okay.
I just had one little question. I noticed the year for the asset prevention was 1994. Where does OBJ fall? I know that's really close to that year.
Yeah, so OBJ was built in 1990 and is outside of the purview for asset for the APP as far as being directly managed by OSPI annually, but we do a 6-year recurring assessment which is a full APP assessment for all of our schools, which includes OBJ. And so the next one will be in 2028.
Okay. Anything else? All right. We'll see you next month.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Next is item 8.02, the proposed revised policy number 6550. This would be the capitalization threshold for leases and subscription-based information technology arrangements.
Yeah, a handful of years ago, GASB 87 and 96 were looked at differently from the state auditor's office, and they required that all school districts in the state implement this policy. At the time, the guidance was a percentage of your expenditures and a dollar amount threshold, and so that's what the district implemented. That has shifted since then, and they no longer want a percentage, which is what I prefer because economies of scale, as we grow, that number changes a little. They want a hard number in there. The percentage equated about $500,000, so the range was either $8,000 or $500,000, which is too broad to really manage. And so we worked with the auditors in this last session, and we came up with the $250,000 that you see in front of you as a threshold for those. And the only thing we have that meets that criteria are our copier leases, the lease for our copiers in all the buildings.
Anybody have any questions on this one?
It's a good nighttime reading one if you need it.
Yeah. Okay. We will see you next month.
Great.
On to item number 9, our legislative update. I know we're into the 3rd week of the session, so let her rip.
Yes, session's moving fast. Week 3 is packed with hearings which are aimed at school district financial solvency as session rapidly closes in on the February 4th policy cutoff date and February 9th fiscal committee cutoff. The Washington State School District Association, WASDA, is tracking 120 new education bills. This does not include the legislative bills from the 2025 session, the first half of this biennium, that can still move forward. Budget issues are the main concern this session, with some of the governor's key priorities focused on increasing the transportation budget to maintain roads, expanding affordable housing, and strengthening early learning. There are many revenue proposals expected. Public K-12 education was not listed as a priority this session, which is important for understanding expectations. These budget and revenue issues are expected to continue in the upcoming years. And that's that. The governor's proposed budgets were heard this week. The operating budget, House Bill 2289 and Senate Bill 5998, did not have any of the K-12 education priorities that we hope for when proposing at the beginning of session, and there have been cuts to things like transitioning to kindergarten and local effort assistance. There's a large volume of education bills, which a number of them do not include additional funding, which we know can put strain on the district. This Thursday, the 29th, is Education Advocacy Day with the House Education and Senate Early Learning and K-12 education public hearings are ongoing for most portions of that day. With these public hearings and the fiscal cutoff being in 8 days, tonight I'm just going to stay focused on what has movement and bring a better idea of what we can expect as bills switch from the House to the Senate and vice versa. So in materials, supplies, and operating costs, MSOC, as a reminder, MSOC is really important for the district. It helps cover required costs of running the district that exceed state funding. Local revenues, mostly levies, must be used to fill the gap. And the main MSOC bill for right now that's moving is Senate Bill 5918, providing funding for school materials, supplies, and operating costs. That was heard in the Senate Education Committee and was really well supported by the community. It's sitting in committee right now. This bill, starting in the 26-27 school year, has each school district receiving an additional $100 per full-time equivalent FTE with a minimum increase of $100,000 per district. If a district's $100 per student calculation falls below the $100,000, the state must provide supplemental funding to reach the $100,000 minimum. These additional funds may not be counted in base allocations for special education, early intervention, or transition to kindergarten funding formulas. All new MSOC amounts, materials, supplies, and operating costs must be adjusted annually for inflation beginning in 26-27. For special education, I'm combining that with pupil transportation today, since that's the other bill with a bit of movement. Senate Bill 5858, providing pupil transportation safety net funding for special passengers, passed through the Senate Education Committee. It reinstates transportation safety programs that were cut during the last session to transport students in special populations. The current student transportation allocation reporting system, known as STARS formula, consistently underfunds districts' actual pupil transportation expenditure. This moves the existing pupil transportation safety net program from the operating budget into permanent statute. Then the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction, OSPI, would administer safety net awards for districts with a demonstrated need for additional transportation funding with documented excess transportation costs for special education, homelessness, foster students, while excluding the program from basic education funding. So remember that your voice matters, and anyone can tune in to these hearings and sign in pro or con on any bills. And please reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us down to board member comments. Mr. Wilford, take it away.
Well, I have a lot of notes from today. We had a lot of amazing presentations. I want to start with the NJROTC. Both the presentation of the colors and their performance were excellent. Their timing and precision, it's clear they've practiced that a lot, and I was really impressed. We had our sports kids come up and give their speeches as well. Aside from their ability to speak publicly really well, I was really impressed by their introspection and how sports has affected them personally and their personal growth in their lives. I don't really see that too very often. Personally from people their age in my kids group. So I was impressed to see that. Last meeting I talked about some SHS kids that came and visited PUD as a part of the program there. And I saw them again today. One of our most senior linemen gave them a ride in our bucket truck. And one was a little hesitant going up about 70 feet in the air, and the other one had the time of his life, sounded like. So that was fun to see. Thank you for the gift. I'm brand new here, so I don't really feel like I've earned that yet, but I will be here, and I will earn that in the future. And yeah, get those ballots in. Got mine in this morning. We got ballot drop boxes all around the city as well. Get them in. We need them. Thanks.
Director Gilmore.
Yes, thank you for the chocolates and your kind words. It's humbling and rewarding to serve students, staff, and their families. Wythe shared a lot of the great growth that we've experienced in the district, and this growth is only accomplished together. I greatly appreciate the student athlete speeches and NJ Rotzi for giving their demonstration. I'm continually blown away by the amazing growth and well-spoken students that we have in this district, and I'm so proud to be here, and I hope that everyone else in the community has heard what amazing growth all of the schools, the staff, students, teachers have really come together this year. Every meeting, there's just been such great things from our community. I look forward to coming to these meetings and just hearing about what we can accomplish when we come together and put students first. So thank you for listening.
Director Davidson.
You both have covered quite a bit, but thank you for this. I asked you what were those things, and you were like, you'll find out soon. I slipped my mind that it was even Board Appreciation Month, so that was a nice surprise. My daughters were here. They heard it was chocolate. I think they're probably going to steal it from me. Yeah, the presentations tonight were amazing, but first of all, just the three of you, and I know Sophia because you were on the volleyball team with my daughters. You guys are amazing representatives of the schools here in Shelton. And I know we all, as a board, really enjoy the reports that you give us and the way that you represent people your age in the schools. And you're all very well spoken. And it's amazing because there's so many activities and wonderful things that are going on in each one of your schools with the community outreach. And I mean, you're talking about certificated people coming in to go through your senior presentations. I mean, it's really amazing to hear from you. So really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your busy schedules and student lives, because I think there's midterms going on right now too. So if you're busy with all of that, just really appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. I was blown away by the NJROTC. I always am. I mean, just incredible what they do. And then each one that got up to speak was so well spoken. And I took a whole page worth of notes from them and the student athletes because there were so many. I think for me, having two teenage daughters too, who do talk about this stuff from their own sports-related moments, but whether it was ROTC, cross-country, wrestling, football, volleyball, swimming, they were all talking about how being in those individual or unique sports or associations changed who they were. It helped shape their life and also helped them focus more on school and work harder at school because of the discipline and the goals and the hard work that they're doing. And that's what I think is amazing about being able to offer a variety of sports and clubs in our school district, because then it doesn't matter what interest that kid might have, they can find friends, they can find a community that many of them tonight shared with us then turns into feeling like family. And I think that's amazing, and that's why I think it's amazing when our community does invest in our students to give them those kinds of positive experiences. So really appreciated all of that. The only other thing I would say is that I did attend the SHS Roundtable event, and I thought that went really well. It was really wonderful to hear from Principal Kipper and the Vice Principal, as well as one of the teachers that was there talking about Freshman Academy. And there were a number of people that did show up at that to just listen. And I think that there's, Jeff Slakey's been amazing at helping get that information out online. So if anybody can't make it, they can view those things or listen to them on KMAS. So that's it.
Shout out to the Thespians. As one, I will say that it is very impressive to hear that we now have a full-on troop, and we've got national qualifiers, and we're doing good things out there. I spent a lot of time in the auditorium as a kid. I can tell you probably every corner of it, and it's good to hear those things. Hearing all the student athletes stand up here and speak, I can tell you as somebody who tests people and hires people and trains people, I can walk onto any drill ground or classroom or whatever, and I can tell you who the student athletes were, not just because of their physical ability, but because of their positive self-discipline, the way they carry themselves, the way they're able to talk, and those sorts of things. So being in a district that not only supports but really fosters those things to the point where we are now seeing, state, national sports people. We've got, DECA's off the charts. I mean, everybody is doing great right now. And we're seeing successes on levels that I don't remember. And I've been here a long time. This is all good stuff. And as a community, this is how we grow. This is how we get people back. This is how we keep people here. This is how we grow as a town. I can tell you that I have at least weekly conversations with people that I played sports with, or that I was in drama with, or that I was in the band with. And those are the people that we stick together. We have our places. With the JRTC, for them to all be up there in their crisp, perfect uniforms, and every one of them spoke to the safe and welcoming environment. That's huge. This is a group of people that have found their people, and that's important in everything that we do. Lastly, National School Counselor Week. I can still tell you every conversation I've had with Joyce Evans, who was my counselor when I was in high school. She made an indelible mark upon my life, and I can't thank her enough. With that, I would take a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're out of here at 19:27.